Take me home to the banks of the River Tyne. Take me home to the place that I call mine. It's a place I love best, 'cause it's better than the rest. Take me home to the banks of the River Tyne. Take me home to the banks of the River Tyne. Take me home to the place that I call mine. It's a place I love best. Yes, it's better than the rest. Take me home to the banks of the River Tyne.
بالنسبه لما يجيك ستيف بروس مثلا يحط لك خمسه في خط الدفاع ويلعب مهاجمين.
Excuse me.
اللاعبين اللي في النص.
What is your VPN?
My VPN?
Yes.
My VPN is Spider VPN.
I'm coming home, Newcastle. Ben over all the way. What a goal! Hassan Ben over! A magnificent goal! I'm coming home, Newcastle. Cisse. Oh, that is sensational!
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. صباح الخير جميعا. Welcome Chris. What have you, Chris? Finally you on the tune? I just woke up. Sorry.
I went from the bank to the River Tyne. Now I'm in the middle of the Tyne. I'm joining you from the Gateshead Millennium Bridge.
Yes, but really great view, and I think you are in the middle. You are in the middle of the bridge.
Yes, the middle of the bridge.
I didn't know why I didn't think to do this. This is brilliant.
I know.
Brilliant, yeah. No, I did it from the roof.
Yes.
There is a roof there, bridge,
Yes.
other roof in the corner.
And there's
Welcome,
the
show. How are you,
over
mates?
there.
So, how was the Christmas party last night?
Oh, it was amazing. Sorry you couldn't be there, but we were all talking about you and your trip and how amazing your trip was, and it was just so great to see everyone. Meet people I hadn't seen before, like Rich. It was great to meet Rich, and then all of the. It was like being a celebrity. I'm sure you experienced the same thing. Like everyone.
Yes, exactly.
Like,
yeah.
I love love you. You're on the show, and you have to be like, and who are you? Because we can only see people in their little heads on in the comments. So and some people don't even have little their pictures on the comments.
Actually, I'm still surprised why you didn't still yet have maybe some big company for shampoo for advertising.
And it was so great to meet Julie Baker and her husband. Great people. Everyone was so great, so welcoming, and it was just everything. Yeah.
Glad you make it to the show after the party. So, isn't it cold for you, mate?
Yeah, it's I was warming myself up with hot coffee, so I'm warm inside, and it's actually pretty nice for being late December in Newcastle. It's actually pretty nice. Yeah. So
Brilliant. So we start our articles. Actually, I have prepared here some articles. So let's start with you, Chris. Let's start with Kieran Kelly from Chronicle Life.
Yes.
What was that about?
Okay, so basically, this is telling you how Eddie Howe has changed the whole training system, because famously under the previous manager, they would have like 3 days off, and it was sort of like wasn't very intense, and despite recently the protest of Steve Agnew, where he was saying, it's not our fault that we gave them 3 days off. That's what the team doctors told us to do. can guarantee you won't have team doctors under Eddie Howe saying give him 3 days off or give him a half day. You know the term knackered. You've probably heard that a lot, and that's what the program leaves us being leaves his players being knackered. And we should start off at the top of the show saying that the breaking news from last night, I'm sure you saw that, was that Eddie Howe has COVID, and so he will miss this game and probably the Arsenal game as well, unless it was a false positive.
So, Chris, only Eddie Howe have corona. No one from the players.
Yeah, I know. That's. I mean, obviously they're going to do like contact tracing, so he would have contacted the whole team. So it's
that's what I'm afraid of.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I guess everyone else tested negative. But getting back to the article, you know, it's just that everything that Eddie Howe does is so systematic, methodical. He's obsessive, and it's you know, he's not going to be able to change the squad's fitness overnight, but he's had the international break to work with them, and so let's say they've bought into like they've improved maybe like 10 or 20%. He can keep building on that, so that, you know, I think today you'll see like the work that's gone into it, but it may not be fully realized until Arsenal or Norwich game. So we'll see more of his system and how the players have bought into the system, because it's one thing for him to have the system, it's another thing for his players to buy into it. So let's see, even though he won't be there managing the game today, his system will be on display, and Graham Jones and Jason Tyndall, be curious to see who takes the lead there. Probably Jason Tyndall, and Graham Jones takes number 2.
Who will be in charge?
I think Jason Tyndall. So we'll see, you know, how the system is implemented, because you don't need the manager there during the game to implement the system. And then I'm sure they'll have some. Eddie Howe will be watching, and I'm sure he'll be in the ear of Jason or something like that, and just to say we need to sub. You know, there's going to be some way that they're going to be able to communicate from Eddie Howe's isolation room, whatever, where his hotel, wherever he is, to Jason Tyndall and Graham Jones to say, look, take Shelby off, or put Joe Linton on. Or something like that.
Actually,
Wow,
he make quite a compliment
sun.
on Shelby in the conference yesterday. So
yes, he did. Wow, it's super sunny here now. Do you see my face is now illuminated?
it's okay. So the journalists yesterday in the conference, they asked, I believe they asked Eddie Howe, they are afraid from the player, they are exhausted because of the new system. But he said, no, I don't think they are exhausted. What do you think?
I would say that the truth is always somewhere in between. I mean, let's say it's not true that the players are on their knees, gasping for breath, but I think as if it's to be believed, when they did their first fitness test, the fitness levels were at like 60% of where they should be. So it's, let's say they've improved from 60%, but they're not like 90 or 100. Let's say he's gotten them up from like 60 to 70, conservatively, a conservative estimate. So they still have a ways to go.
I believe that Chris, the player who used to play 90 minutes, they will not be exhausted like the players who didn't play.
Yes, I'm gonna walk off the bridge because I think it's a bit noisy for you guys.
It's okay. Okay, I will find a better spot and I will translate the article. طبعا يتكلم كريس يقول لك هذا خبر من كرونيكل لايف من الصحف الموثوقة يعني في نيوكاسل من الصحفي كيرن كيلي. يتكلم طبعا عن إيدي هاو أنه غير نظام التدريب بشكل يعني عاجل. صح أنها كانت 10 أيام حتى الآن له يعني، لكن حاول يغير هذا الشيء بشكل سريع. بدأ من البداية مهووس في النظام، يقول لك إيدي هاو مهووس في النظام التدريبي، حريص على تطبيقه من اليوم الأول من وصوله. طبعا نتمنى له الشفاء العاجل. يعني أمس أعلنوا إصابته بكورونا المدرب، يعني نقول إن شاء الله خير. جيسون على الأغلب هو اللي مساعد، هو اللي بيكون المساعد، هو اللي راح اليوم ياخذ المسؤولية، مش كريم جونز. جيسون مساعده الأساسي. نتكلم برضو عن الإرهاق 90 دقيقة. يعني الإرهاق عن اللاعبين، أجهدهم في اللاعبين. يعني سألوا أمس الصحفيين أنه نخاف أنك أجهدت اللاعبين أكثر من اللازم. قال أنا لا أعتقد ذلك. يعني في أكيد اللاعبين اللي ما شاركوا أو فترات طويلة ما لعبوا أكيد راح يشعرون بالإرهاق، لكن اللاعبين اللي متعودين على 90 دقيقة يعني ما أتوقع أنهم يعني أرهقوا بشكل أنه يعني يومين أو ثلاثة ما يقدرون يستعدون نشاطهم يعني. هذا كان مقالة إيدي هاو. Okay, what we have from Saudi Arabia actually, and I don't know, I will maybe try to be a selfish a bit.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Actually,
our
I want
show.
to yeah. I have my
It's our
first
show.
article in Al Yom newspaper, and a lot of people ask me, what is this article about? Actually, I want to at the beginning thank to Mr. Journalist Isa Al-Jokum, and also Mr. Muhammad Saad, who helped me with it as well. This article in Al Yom from Dammam, from eastern area in Saudi Arabia, one of the strong or one of the best newspaper in Saudi Arabia. Al Yom, it's mean the day. And basically, I was talking about the first interview of Amanda Stively, and what was my impression when I meet her first time at Brighton game. So it was about mostly translation of the 7 or 8 minutes of the interview with the UFC TV. So that's basically it.
You had the world exclusive with Eddie Howe.
I think did I mention it in the article? I didn't think I was bragging about that, but
I'm just saying.
I think I mentioned that. I think it's in Arabic.
Mabruk, mashallah.
Yeah, thank you. So now let's back to article. Let's have Chris Wolf. And actually, I want to ask about Chris Wolf. No, this one. Why he always with someone else? Now he's with Mark Carey, and last couple of times he was with George Kalkin.
Yes, this would be my. He might say something different, but I would say he is the Newcastle writer. So everything that he does is Newcastle, whereas George Kalkin and Mark Carey, they have a wider perspective. So Mark, I don't know Mark Carey as well, but I'm assuming that he covers maybe like European football or something beyond just Newcastle. So Chris Wolf is always going to be involved with a Newcastle article, even if he's just contributing. But these other guys can write about other stuff. I mean, you don't see George Kalkin writing about Sunderland because they're not in they're two divisions below Newcastle. But yeah, so there are other people on the staff who are not focused on Newcastle, so that allows the Athletic to have sort of a wider coverage and to give you both the Newcastle insights, but also give you an idea of what the market is, and that's kind of what this article is about. Yeah. So what I would say is so what it says is it's this article, this piece is part of a series looking at the age profiles of squads from teams that we cover. So what it's saying is that that Newcastle is not a particularly old or young squad. They sort of have a mix of players, and sort of under Ashley, his whole ethos, especially when they were buying all those French players, was that they would buy. He was only interested in and this is what he was dealing with Rafa Benitez, and that was why they didn't sign Rondon, because Mike Ashley always wanted to sign players under 25, like and then develop them and sell them for a profit. Whereas Rafa Benitez had a 29-year-old.
Excuse me, Chris. Chris, can you just get out and come back again, because we have some tunes.
Tunes.
I mean, problem with the sound, some signs.
Oh.
So if,
okay.
It happens
Okay.
sometimes. It just to fix it, just
Okay.
be
Yeah,
out
right.
and in quickly, please.
Okay, hold.
معليش، طبعا احنا مشكله تصير في الصوت، فما ادري هذا الصوت يطلع في يعني عندكم ولا لا، في تشويش. لكن يعني راح نترجم المقال الان اذا انتهى كريس، بس على بال ما ننتظره. سالته انا انه ليش دائما كريس وولف يكون مع صحفي اخر. يقول لك انه كريس وولف وجورج كالكن من الصحفيين يعني اللي ويل ريسبكت، يعني محترمين جدا ومعروفين في نيوكاسل، فهم مجموعه يعني معروفه مع بعض. فسبب حضور، يعني يعتقد انه سبب كتابه المقال من مارك كارفي، مارك كاري اللي ما بالعاده يكتب عن نيوكاسل، هو دائما يكتب عن اوروبا، يعني مختص في كتابه عن التقارير الاوروبيه. فيمكن علشان الفكره، يمكن علشان دعم للصحفي الاوروبي، او ممكن انه راح يتكلم عن نيوكاسل مستقبلا، او ممكن يكون استعدادات عن يعني ان شاء الله يصير نيوكاسل في اوروبا قريبا. Yes, mate. Sorry, go on.
Okay, so as I was saying, under Ashley, he would only want to buy players that were under 25 and sell them before they're 30. And he didn't want to buy any players that were like going under their 30s. So this is why they didn't, when they had Solomon Rondon under Rafa Benitez, people wanted to keep him, and he would only be costing like 15 million pounds if you think about how much that would have been saving over Joe Linton, 40 million pounds. But Mike Ashley had a policy where he wouldn't want to buy anyone around 30 years old. So that's why we passed on the ability to sign Solomon Rondon and went with the younger players. But I think what you'll see with Newcastle being able to spend money now is they're not going to go sign Kylian Mbappe. They're not going to sign Haaland or Eden Hazard, but they will be able to spend money on young players. Like one of the players that's been talked about is an England international who's playing in Germany. What was it? I'm forgetting his name right now. Jude Bellingham. So Jude Bellingham would probably cost around 50 million pounds, but that's 50 million pounds is quite a difference between 50 million and like the 200 million that it would take to sign Haaland or Mbappe. So it's like we would buy a young guy who has like a lot of potential to be a great star, but we're not going to buy the star that's right in the middle, like the peak of his career, because we want to build slowly and steadily and not be spending 200 million pounds on transfers, because if you bring in Mbappe or Haaland or Eden Hazard into this squad, one player is not going to make the squad into a championship contender. You need to build slowly and steadily over a number of windows, and then get that team to play together, because one superstar on Newcastle won't integrate very well. I mean, they doesn't have the supporting squad around him to support him. So they're going to build slowly, and I would say by buying players like Jude Bellingham, younger players who are not in their prime yet, and they'll be able to afford the guys who have not reached their peak yet.
Chris, regarding Bellingham, he's
Yes.
a suggestion or he linked to Newcastle?
Who's to say links? I don't believe any links are out there, because links to me at this point are just agents trying to link their players to Newcastle to get that extra pay, because they know if you're linked with Newcastle, that will cause other clubs to raise their price, because they know that selling to Newcastle, you can add an extra zero or whatever. There's gonna be a premium to get a guy to Newcastle because of the deep pockets of the ownership and the perspective that, again, like we're not a title contender. We're not a Champions League perennial club. We're in a relegation battle in the Premier League, at the bottom half of the Premier League this year, probably, most likely. So, while I don't believe this whole thing about that there's clubs out there in the Premier League who won't sell to Newcastle because it's Newcastle, I believe that it's going to cost more money for Newcastle to get the players that they want, like Tarkowski or Connor Cody. So yeah, so it's just it's a question of what's the market, and then how much more is Newcastle willing to pay for the players that they really need to start building their squad.
He didn't mention about the sport director manager, the article, because I think this is it will be his plan, with of course with
yes, exactly. This is the other problem with all the links. I mean, we've been linked to 1,000 players. And this is before we had a manager or a sporting director. So it's ridiculous to say that Newcastle's in talks with this player or that player. It's not going to be Amanda and Merdad trying to buy players. They may have people like football advisors who are telling them, okay, look, we can go out and sign like one player we've been linked to is Kieran Trippier, and again, they say linked. We don't know what linked means. It could just be that it's sort of people have said, oh, that'd be a great signing because Kieran Trippier is on Atletico Madrid. He wants to come back to the Premier League. Newcastle would be a great place for Kieran Trippier. So we don't know whether that means that his agent has identified Newcastle as a big payday for him, or whether his agent is like, okay, yes, let's try to bring Kieran Trippier to Newcastle because this would be a good fit. So it's you've heard of this program called Football Manager, and a lot of this stuff is like Football Manager stuff. It's kind of fantasy, not real world stuff. So it's a question of how real are these links? Again, like you say, we don't have a director of football. We have Frank McPartland, who is a former director of football at I think at Rangers. So it's like how much work is Frank McPartland and his like advisors to Amanda Staveley? How much work are they really doing on the transfer window? Because obviously they were doing some work because they have an idea of how they're going to transform the club, but until we get a director of football in, we don't really have the vision on what kind of player they want or what kind of player they think they can get. So let's wait on Emanalo or anyone else until that's actually happening, because as our friends would tell us, there's certainly some holdups with Emanalo. It was sort of seemed like we were going to get Emanalo, and he was in Saudi Arabia, and like the deal was basically done. But there's some catch, which we don't know. We heard it was a personal issue with Emanalo. We don't know what that means, and I wouldn't want to speculate. It's not my place to speculate on what the personal issue is.
But what about the people? What do you think is the issue, or do you hear something?
No. I just said I don't want to speculate
Okay.
what the issue is.
Chris, you are in restricted area. What is the time bridge? See, look behind you.
I know. I was getting out. I was going next to a structure so I could get out of the way of the.
It's okay. It's okay. You can stand here. Yeah, here is great. So, last question before I translate all of this. What? Now this is a great article because I believe now every week this kind of article will increase because the links of the players and transfer window in January. So
Yes.
do you think? I believe, I don't know if you agree or not, but the result will affect the demand. Now we have 10 games starting from today.
Yes.
We have 10 games before January. 10 games, that's 30 points.
Yes.
So, and if we get this 30 points, for example, I think we don't need to sign anyone because we are safe. But so I think this will accelerate the situation.
Yes, and if we're still in the relegation position come January, these players that like I talked about, Kieran Trippier is not going to want to come to a relegation club. So and then like forget about Jude Bellingham. I think a lot of these players will be looking at next summer after we're safe, and we have a whole summer to plan. Because it's, as Manistini said, we wouldn't normally be buying players in January. January is a tough window, but I think there's some deals out there for players with expiring contracts. Because if a player leaves at the end of a contract, then the club gets no compensation. So there's an incentive for the players, the teams, to have players who are out of contract to sell them in January, so they can get some money for them, because they won't get any money for them if they leave as a free agent after out of contract in the summer. Sorry, there's dogs next.
But for example, you're saying you're talking about Trevor, but if he comes to Newcastle, he will guarantee himself a great deal. No matter in relegation battle or not, but he will get a great deal. He will not maybe find it in other clubs.
Inshallah.
طيب. So okay. So this article basically about the view of the most in the Athletic most one of the popular newspaper, talking about the needs of the squad in the transfer window. طبعا الانتقالات الشتوية الجاية، يتكلمون الصحفيين انه وش اللي نحتاج، انه احنا عندنا مشاكل كثيرة. ايش هي الآلية؟ عندنا مشكلة كبيرة اللي هي اغلب اللاعبين فوق ال30 خلاص، فوق ال30 مساكين خلاص، قصدهم انه عمرهم الكروي تقريبا في النهاية، ومجموعة من اللاعبين الآن في 33 34. فهذه إشكالية كبرى في موضوع يعتبر السكواد والطاقم كبير في السن في العمر الكروي نتكلم. طيب، في فترة رافا بينيتيز ومايك آشلي كانت الخطة عندهم يتكلمون عنها انه يشترون لاعبين تقريبا ما يتعدون ال25، يكون لاعب ثابت مستوى ما يتعدى 25 عشان يجي سنتين يبيعوا النادي ليك بيريز ايوزي ريمبر، ويروح يبيعوا بمبلغ كبير. فكانت هذه الخطة. فالحين السنتين الثلاث الأخيرة يعني صار في مشكلة، في تكدس للاعبين، عقود مستمرة، تجاوزوا أعمارهم 30 وما حد طلبهم حتى إنه يعني مقابل مبلغ، يعني ما حد طلبهم يعني ما حد طلبهم للانتقال لأنديتهم. والإشكالية الأخرى أنه ما جاب برضو لاعبين عشان يسوي تبديل، يعني ما تعاقد مع لاعبين. ايش سوى علشان مايك اشلي يعني كان بخيل جدا، ما كان يبغى يشتري لاعبين ويسوي احلال. فخلاص انا كيف امشي نفسي بالميزانيه المحدوده بدايه الموسم، خلاص عندي المجموعه هذه من اللاعبين اجدد معها بمبلغ نفسه او بمبلغ اقل كذا، وفر على نفسه، وفر يعني ماديا، ويصير ما دفع كثير. وهذا اللي سبب يعني هذا سبب تكدس اخر اللاعبين. يعني زي ما تقول يعني انه يتكلمون انه ورطنا مايك اشلي في هذه السياسه، خصوصا في الثلاث اربع سنوات الاخيره. تكلموا انه في لاعب بيلينم. I'm not sure if I say the name right. بيلينم.
Jude Bellingham. Yes.
يا بيلينيام. لاعب معروف، لاعب في بروسيا دورتموند، صغير في السن، تقريبا 17 18 سنه تقريبا، قد تكون قيمته 50 مليون باوند حاليا. فلاعب كبير يعني لينك، يعني ممكن انه يتكلم انه مثلا انه نجيب لاعبين ما وصلوا. يعني اقتراح كريس ووف ومارك كاري، اقتراحهم انه نجيب لاعبين ما وصلوا للقمه الكرويه او في المستوى، وبنفس الوقت يكونون صغار في السن عشان عمليه مثلا عمليه البيع، او ما يكون في ضغط. لانه صعب نجيب حنا سوبر ستار، لاعب كبير صعب نجيب سوبر ستار وبقيه اللاعبين يعني مثلا ما يساعدون السوبر ستار على التألق. طبعا هذه وجهة نظر الصحفي، انا اتوقع الآلية هذه يعني انا سألت كريس قلت انه يعني هذه رأي، يعني مجرد رأي الى الان رأي صحفي، يعني ما في شيء، يعني هذا رأي الصحفيين الخبراء يعني. لكن انا اعتقد انه المدير الرياضي اللي راح يجي يكون عنده سياسة مع ايدي هاو، افضل في اختيار عمود فقري، برأيي الشخصي عمود فقري من الهجوم لي ممكن نقول الى الحراسة، او على الاقل الى قلب الدفاع. يصير مثلا ممكن نبدا فيها في احتياجات يعني انا برايي قلب دفاع، محور قوي جدا او محورين في خط الدفاع، ولاعب في خط الهجوم. الاربعه هذه ما فيها نقاش، نحتاجها طبعا. اذا في مجال ممكن برضو ظهير ايمن. تقريبا هذا كان المقال. Okay, now okay. Actually, this is not an article. Actually, I read the tweet speaking about same topic. Just I will load something. I forgot to load it. Just a second, please.
Allah.
Yeah, just a second. This is his name is Mahmoud Salama. He's from Egypt, and now I'm tweeting now his tweet in Twitter. I will just tell you an idea about it. It's in Arabic, but you can translate it in English, of course. His nickname is Huba Articles. Huba. He said, if I am, that's his picture. He said, if I am the supporting manager of Newcastle, if he is the sport manager, what he will do?
He looks like he looks like Chicharito. Remember?
Chicharito?
Remember?
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, you are right. I will tell him that. So
yes.
it's a great thread, but what I like about his tweet, it's not a newspaper, but he have examples like for goalkeeper there is Koller Nafas from Paris, about 12 million euro. His contract will end in this date. So he have all the players, and there is a list of defender. Romagnoli, Milan, his contract finished 22. Milikovic, Fiorentina, about 25 million. He will contract will finish. So he have all the great players available in the market. So I believe if you just take a look and see, يعني who يعني let's make a wish list before Christmas.
Yes.
Wish list, and
yes.
I think we should use this thread. Amazing players. David Neres, Ajax, 22. He said all the players finish in 22. So if the player have contract end, and we can make agreement with him before contract end, and we can bring him for free, just his salary. That's the great plan. So please, just to support this amazing thread by Mr. Muhammad Salama.
Yes, good.
So I just tweeted.
Yes. Can we just point out that we've been linked? Every goalkeeper in Europe has been linked to Newcastle, and I would think with Dubravka and Woodman and Darlow that we don't need any goalkeepers.
Yes, exactly. Yes. But we didn't know.
I think people are only concerned with Dubravka is that he gets injured. He gets little nicks that keep him out. So he's a little bit, we say in the US, snake bit. Snake bit, like he's unlucky.
Yes.
Snake bit.
I am with you. It's not goalkeeper, not in our priority, but we didn't know about the goalkeeper themselves, but it's not our priority now, really.
Yes.
Third article.
We need to replace our defense. That's why I always say Kieran Trippier, Connor Cody, and Tarkowski. That'd be a fantastic. If we just got those three guys in January, I'd be happy.
And also, as we need a center forward with Wilson as well.
Yeah.
Because every time Wilson get injury, we are in trouble.
Yes. Joe, I still don't believe there's a player in Joe Linton, but I don't believe that he's not a center forward.
All right. Third article, Chris, is from Oliver Kay from Athletic as well, I believe.
Yes. So this is a good theme of what I've been talking about before, is that Newcastle is not going to buy, whether in January or the summer, they're not going to spend all of their transfer budget on one player, which would be how much like a Mbappe or even like people below him. Philippe Coutinho was somebody that has been linked to us for a while and was one of the earliest links once the takeover went through, because he's seen as being out of favor at Barcelona, and that his whole move to Barcelona from Liverpool was a failure, and that his asking price, I mean, he was transferred for about 170 million to Barcelona, and then he was offered to us, allegedly offered to Newcastle for 50 million. So would you take Coutinho at 50 million? But I guess, again, if I said if you put Coutinho and played him instead of Shelvey and kept the whole team the same and just replaced Coutinho with Shelvey, or replaced Joe Linton with Coutinho. Coutinho would not do very well with Newcastle's current squad. They need to build a complete overhaul. So this article is talking about, rather than going for the real expensive players, they're going to want to go for younger talent that shows like hasn't reached their peak yet. Those players, Bale, Coutinho, their peak is behind them. Their best days are behind them. So we would be getting them on the downside of the end of their career. Whereas this article is suggesting that with Newcastle's new resources, we can go out and afford to buy somebody like Jude Bellingham, other younger players. I think a real candy signing in the summer could be Conor Gallagher, who's owned by Chelsea, but he's currently playing for Crystal Palace. Because Conor Gallagher has been really like one of the standout players of the season so far, and he's a very young guy, and he's currently on loan from Chelsea to Crystal Palace, and so we might be able to buy Conor Gallagher off of Chelsea in the summer, or get him on like a loan to buy. Sorry, it's windy again.
It's okay. I can't hear you. It's okay.
This is why I was standing in front of the restricted parking, because it was like a barrier against the wind. Okay, so yeah, so like as I was saying, this article is talking about how Newcastle is not going to go out and splash the cash, as we say, but they're going to be making canny signings, probably of younger players that are not in their peak, and so like they will reach their peak in 2 or 3 years with Newcastle, and not buy players like Bale, who's already had his peak
But
with.
yeah, but Chris, again, this is just an opinion.
Yes, but I mean, it's let's say an informed opinion. I mean, he's talking to sources who are close to the club, or everyone has an opinion about Newcastle since the takeover, right?
Okay.
And we don't know what their philosophy is, because they don't have a director of football, and it's pretty clear that like Frank McPartland, an advisor to Amanda Stavely, he might be talking to players, but they don't have any. I would hope what they would do is the beginning of the transfer window in January. They have a couple players lined up already. So the first couple of days of the transfer window, they sign guys that they've already agreed to terms with, and it's not going to be like our typical Newcastle transfer window where we go to the last day in January and we make some loan signing. I think it'll be a real statement of purpose if we see some signings in the first couple of days of the transfer window, which means that they've already agreed, let's say from now or from December, to make these transfers, and they have the transfers ready in the beginning of January. If we go in the first 2 weeks of January and we don't have any signings, I'd be a little concerned, because I would say maybe there's problems with people not wanting to sell to Newcastle, or they don't have a direction. I'm confident that we get the right director of football in, we will know what the plan is, and the plan will be executed very well by a new director of football.
اوكي. هذه المقالة طبعا يعني امتداد المقالات الأخرى، يعني نفس الشيء، يقول لك إنه توقعات. أنا سألت كريس إنه هذه مجرد رأي صحفي، قال لا، إنه قد يكون إنه عندهم مصادر في النادي، إنه نيوكاسل يعني إنه لن يشتري، يعني سواء في الشتاء بالنافذة انتقالات الشتوية والصيفية، ما راح يحط ميزانيته على لاعب واحد. كوتينهو ممكن يجي لأنه ارتبط كثير من أوائل اللاعبين اللي ارتبطوا، ووضعه الآن مع برشلونة مش كويس، يعني ممكن يجي كلاعب مثلا مشهور. يعني أنا برأيي مثلا ممكن، أنا برأيي في أفضل منه يعني حاليا. ممكن يعني مثلا يجي يعني أنا برأيي دائما إنه اللاعب، الحين راح أسأل كريس، إنه اللاعب الكبير ممكن تجيب لاعب زي مثلا ما سوى مانشستر سيتي، جاب روبينهو، شوف بين جاب، بعدين جاء سمير نصري، أجويرو. لازم تجيب لاعب مشهور. حتى نشوف مانشستر يونايتد دفع على كريستيانو مبلغ بسيط، إنه الحين في آخر عمره الكروي، فممكن نسوي حاجة مشابهة. وإنه الخطة إنه يعني على حسب مارك يقول إنه مواهب، إنه نجيب مواهب صغيرة، نفس كلام كريس ووف في المقال السابق، إنه مواهب صغيرة لسه متوقع إنها توصل للقمة لكن لسه ما وصلت، فهذا يكون أسهل إنه نجيبهم بمبالغ يعني أقل شوي من المبالغ السوبر ستار، وبنفس الوقت ممكن حتى إنه لو صار مرتاح في النادي أو شيء ونبغى نبيعه، هنبيعه بمبلغ كبير، which is good. we can يعني خطي حلو، ممكن يشتغلون على هذا الشيء. but I think Chris, يعني in my opinion we need one player. You look very cold.
No,
Okay.
I'm going to go and
We
run
can-
to Starbucks.
Okay, Starbucks. We can. What do you think if we just have one player who's superstar, like Cristiano Ronaldo? We can bring a player. It will attract other players. We can bring superstar, and it shouldn't be that big budget. If he's like 33 or 34, we don't have to pay this much. And this will attract player like Rubino in Manchester City. After he came, a lot of players, great players came, like Nasri, like Aguero, company. What do you think?
Yes, this, as the last article that I shared talked about, I don't think that that's going to be the direction that Newcastle is going to go. I don't think they're going to make a statement older signing. I think they're going to buy young talented players who have the potential to stay with Newcastle 5-10 years and to really establish themselves and build their career at Newcastle. So I don't think we're going to see Bale, Coutinho, those kind of players come to Newcastle. I mean, yes, the ownership wants to put themselves on the map and to attract other players, but I think they're going to attract other players not by signing a superstar, but by slowly and steadily building their club with a real philosophy. I think if they get the right director of football, that guy, whether it's Emanalo or Edwards or something like that, that person will be the attraction, with Eddie Howe being another attraction, and we will be able to draw players to Newcastle who want to be able to like grow and grow their careers, and who are not like has-beens. I also want to take sorry, go ahead.
No, I believe the plan, it's going to be mixed. We'll bring one player, Class A, and he will be like the captain, and he will attract the young talent to join Newcastle. This is, I think, what's going to happen.
Okay.
But now the thing is, who's this player? But I think there is a planning.
Yes. We're going to mention before we wrap the show up that with myself being in Newcastle now, and you were in Newcastle for the last show, or maybe two shows ago. Now, we personally have broadcast the show from 5 different locations. If you count Newcastle twice, we broadcast from Riyadh, Newcastle, London, and Chicago.
Yeah.
So
this is a great thing to describe it. Yes.
Our show is a truly global experience. And we thank everyone for being on this ride with us.
Yes, actually, I prepare it before I sleep, and I said I will wake up just right before the show. This is great from the two of you. So last article, I have some articles. I will just because the time, I will just I will retweet it now.
Okay.
This is from Yasser Al-Nahdi from Al Jazeera, but our Jazeera, Saudi Jazeera.
Yes.
Yeah, and he talking about starting with some poetry at the beginning. It's a nice article talking about the Saudi Arabia achievement. We are in the top of the league of the qualifier for World Cup, and Al Hilal team reached the final of Champions League of Asia, and also talking about Newcastle. Now all sport newspaper talking about Newcastle, which is proof that it was the best choice for Saudi Arabia. It's a great article, and I'm gonna just retweet it now. Okay, we have also some art. Okay, this the poster of the show now.
I love that.
I am with them because I'm starting to write something. And before the show, الرياضية, number one sport journalist in newspaper in Saudi Arabia, talk about my channel, and I didn't read it yet because it's just before the show. And they can see Alan Shearer. But it wasn't my choices, the pictures, not my choices at all. I just give them my channel. So I think Iceman, they choose Iceman, and they choose the Studio Magpies too, and one as well. Amazing. I think this is loaded, Max. I didn't read it yet. I just retweeted before the show. This is a great. And before I have 5 minutes, but before we go quickly to the comments, you sent me this earlier, Chris. Actually, I have no idea which channel. Is it Saudi Arabia channel?
That's what they said. In Saudi
I didn't know,
Arabia,
but I think it's right. But I will try to make sure. I think it's right, but I don't know why people surprised. Yani Newcastle now. We are. It's now all.
They also showed that because that's the bridge that I was broadcasting from. The Gateshead Millennium Bridge.
Okay, now 5 minutes. I have because I have another show now. We have a show now with Steve Wraith and Dr. Neil Mitchell and Stuart Binman from Middle East Views and Gulf News from Gulf. Okay. Good morning. How's your head, Chris? I think he's great. You see him in the show.
Good.
My friend Uthman says, Waleed, you just woke up. I can't tell because Uthman was my colleague in the hospital long time ago, and we always spent the morning together with a cafe. Lovely meeting you last night, Chris. This is from Alan McKenzie.
Yes. Lovely to meet you too, Alan. Big Al.
Okay.
Two big Al.
Hisham says was no problem with the sound. Maybe it was just me, sorry. Dublin Magby. Hi, lads. Hope you are well. Brian Johnson. Hi, morning.
Yes.
Great party last night. And credit to everyone involved. Pleasure meeting you, Chris. I hope meet you next time, Al-Waleed. Hopefully you're getting paint after match, Chris. Or you had enough yesterday.
Before and after the match.
Morning, Al-Waleed, Chris and Chris A. What is the minimum we need? 30 points. I think 30. Well,
no, we're not getting a 30 out of 30. That's 10 matches. Let's say we get 20. I'd say if we can get 12 points. 12 points from now until January, we're good.
اليوم إن شاء الله ندعوكم في مقهى تعاليل حي المنسية طريق الصحابة السبت في 5 اليوم يعني الساعة 5 إن شاء الله. طبعا برا 6 بس حاولوا تجون يعني بدري علشان يعني نلتقي اليوم رابطة مشجعي نيوكاسل للمرة الأولى في الرياض. Let's have a couple of minutes. Sum up your expectation. What do you think to see? Is Eddie Howe will not be there today affect the situation, or do you think the plan is ready and Jason can take a charge? What do you expect, and what you can tell us about the game?
Yes,
Chris?
I expect we will see an Eddie Howe team, even without Eddie Howe physically being there. My only question is if they're going to make adjustments, like if they're going to bring on substitutions. Does Eddie Howe have any kind of communication contact to indicate his wishes about the substitutions, or are the substitutions only up to Jason Tyndall and Graham Jones? Because I don't know if they would have the same vision of if it's up to Graham Jones, he probably would do more of what he's already done. So I'd be more concerned about that. But so let's see how if they're able to get off on the good foot. I would like to see them score early and then hold on, because too often Newcastle, we've seen them either fall behind early and then play catch up, and they're not very good at playing catch up, or they score very early, like they saw against Tottenham, score on the second minute, and then they give up the lead within 20 minutes. And so it's difficult for Newcastle to play from behind, but they're also not great with the lead. So it's a question of, let's just get out and score like two or three goals in the first half and just call it a day. So if you're asking for my prediction will be, I'm going to go for a penman, 3-1 Newcastle.
Okay, for me, I think it's gonna be 2-0.
Okay.
Newcastle, of course.
Good stuff.
All right, Chris, this was great, and
yes.
enjoy your day in Newcastle, and hopefully we'll celebrate tonight the 3 points, and I will make a space hopefully tonight, hopefully after the win. Thank you, Chris.
Since I met Malcolm McDowell last night, I'm going to dedicate, and I'm staying at the Mal Maison. Let's end it with Chez Mal.
Okay.
The house of Mal.
Okay, close now. Okay, bon appetit, Chris. نلتقيكم إن شاء الله الأسبوع المقبل مع كريس وليد، أخبار الصحف العالمية اللي تتكلم عن نيوكاسل. See you next week, Chris. How are the
مع
lads?
السلامة. مع السلامة. How are the lads?
Take me